The text message arrived just as they were lowering my grandmother's casket into the ground. "Don't trust them, sweet pea. Check under the sewing machine." My hands trembled as I stared at the recovered voicemail notification, my grandmother's last words to me emerging from digital limbo like a ghost. "I'm Nora, and this is the story of how my grandmother's death exposed decades of family lies." Really, she couldn't even wear proper black shoes to the funeral. My mother Evangeline's whisper carried across the cemetery, sharp enough to cut glass. I glanced down at my burgundy flats, Grandma's favorite color, and bit back a smile. Even now, Mother was trying to control the narrative. The autumn wind whipped around us, carrying the scent of rain and roses. Perfect funeral weather, as if the universe itself was setting the stage. I stood apart from the cluster of black-clad relatives, watching my cousin Kylie orchestrate the proceedings like a conductor leading her symphony of grief. "Such a shame about Nora," Kylie murmured to our Aunt Sawyer, not bothering to lower her voice. "Living in that tiny apartment, no real career to speak of. Grandma worried about her so much." I dug my nails into my palms and kept my face neutral. They had no idea what was coming. "Nora." My brother Jaden appeared at my side, his suit perfectly pressed, his tie as straight as his banking career. "You should join the family." "I am joining the family," I replied. "I'm just doing it from right here." He shifted uncomfortably. "Mother's just trying to maintain appearances. You know how these things are." "Oh, I know exactly how these things are." I pulled out my phone again, showing him the notification. "Look what just popped up from my cloud backup." His eyes widened as he read the message. "When was this?" 3 days before she died. Funny timing, don't you think?" Before Jaden could respond, Kylie's voice rang out across the cemetery. "Everyone, please join us at the house for the reception. We'll be reading the will at 4. I watched my perfect cousin sweep toward her Mercedes, her fiancé Eric in tow. The family lawyer, old Mr. Benson, caught my eye and gave me an unreadable look before turning away. "You're coming, right?" Jaden asked. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." The drive to Grandma's mansion was exactly 17 minutes. I'd timed it countless times during our Sunday visits. As I pulled into the circular driveway, I noticed Kylie already directing the catering staff like a general deploying troops. "The flowers go in the solarium," she commanded. "And please, use the good crystal for the wine service." I slipped past her into the house, my feet automatically carrying me toward the sewing room. The door was locked, of course it was, but I'd watched Grandma hide the spare key behind the loose baseboard for years. "What are you doing?" I nearly jumped out of my skin. Mother stood at the end of the hall, her mascara perfect despite her theatrical tears. "Looking for some thread," I said smoothly. "My button's loose." She pursed her lips. "The reading is in 30 minutes. Try to be presentable." "I'll do my best to meet your impossibly high standards, Mother." She swept away, leaving behind a cloud of expensive perfume and disappointment. I waited until her footsteps faded before slipping the key into the lock. The sewing room smelled like Grandma, lavender and fabric softener. Her ancient Singer machine sat in the corner, surrounded by bins of colorful fabric and thread. I ran my fingers along its base, feeling for any irregularities. "There you are," Kylie's voice made me freeze. "Everyone's gathering in the study." I straightened up, plastering on a smile. Just wanted to see her space one last time. "Well, hurry up. We need to get through this efficiently." She paused, her perfect eyebrows drawing together. "Don't get your hopes up about the will, Nora. Grandma was very specific about protecting her assets." I followed her to the study, where the family had assembled like vultures around Mr. Benson's leather briefcase. Mother sat regally in Grandma's favorite armchair, while Aunt Sawyer perched nearby, dabbing at dry eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. "Now then," Mr. Benson cleared his throat. "Shall we begin?" I took a seat by the window, away from the others. My phone felt heavy in my pocket, Grandma's message burning like a secret sun. They thought they knew everything, The perfect family with their perfect lives and their perfect plans. But Grandma had taught me patience. She'd shown me how to sew a straight seam, how to weather disappointment with grace, and most importantly, how to wait for the right moment to reveal your hand. I settled back in my chair as Mr. Benson opened his briefcase. The real show was about to begin, and for once I knew exactly how this story would end. The will reading went exactly as expected, which is to say, exactly as they'd planned. I sat quietly while Kylie received the bulk of the estate, Mother got the family jewels, and Jaden inherited the summer cottage. My inheritance? A locket and Grandma's rocking chair. I'm sure she had her reasons, Kylie said afterward, her sympathy dripping like poison honey. I waited until midnight before returning to the sewing room. The house was empty now, everyone gone home to count their spoils. The spare key was still behind the baseboard, right where I'd left it. This time, I went straight for the Singer machine. My fingers traced every inch until there. A slight gap in the base plate that shouldn't exist. I pulled out my phone and replayed Grandma's message one more time. Check under the sewing machine. The plate came loose with a gentle tug, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside lay a USB drive and a thick envelope sealed with wax. My hands shook as I broke the seal. My dearest Nora, the letter began in Grandma's elegant script. If you're reading this, they've done exactly what I feared they would. A noise in the hallway made me freeze. Footsteps approached, then passed. Probably the housekeeper. Kylie had insisted on having the house cleaned tonight. I continued reading. 10 years ago, I started putting money aside for you. Small amounts at first, then larger ones as I saw how they were treating you. The account information is on the USB drive. It's all legally yours. I made sure of that. My heart pounded as I pulled out my laptop and plugged in the drive. Documents loaded onto the screen. Bank statements, legal papers, transfer records. The final balance made me gasp. $750,000. Everything okay in there? I slammed my laptop shut. Jaden stood in the doorway, looking uncertain. What are you doing here? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. I forgot my phone charger. He stepped into the room. What are you doing here? Getting my inheritance. I held up the letter. Turns out the rocking chair wasn't all Grandma left me. He moved closer, eyes fixed on the papers spread across the sewing table. What is all this? The truth. I handed him the letter. Read it yourself. His eyes widened as he scanned the pages. Holy shit, Nora. Does Mother know about this? What do you think? He sat heavily in the rocking chair. This will destroy her. No, I corrected him. This will expose her. There's more, I said, turning my laptop screen toward him. Look at these emails between Mother and Kylie from last year. They were planning to have Grandma declared incompetent, take control of everything. But they didn't succeed? Because Grandma was smarter than they thought. She'd already set this up, hidden away where they'd never look. I gestured around the sewing room. The one place they thought was worthless. Jaden ran a hand through his hair. What are you going to do? First, I'm going to transfer these funds to my own account, legally, since Grandma already set it up in my name. Then I'm going to wait for tomorrow's executor meeting. Kylie's meeting? Why? I smiled, remembering all the times they'd called me irresponsible, unstable, a disappointment. Because that's when I'm going to show them exactly who they've been underestimating. They'll fight you on this, Jaden warned. Let them try. I gathered the documents, securing them in my bag. Grandma gave me everything I need to win. As if on cue, my phone buzzed with a text from Kylie. Emergency family meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m. Don't be late. Perfect timing, I murmured. Jaden stood up. I should go. But Nora... He hesitated. I'm sorry for not standing up for you before. Prove it tomorrow, I said. When they try to paint me as the crazy one again, prove it by telling the truth. After he left, I sat in Grandma's rocking chair, feeling the smooth wood beneath my fingers. The house creaked and settled around me, full of memories both bitter and sweet. My phone buzzed again, Mother this time. I expect you to behave appropriately tomorrow. No scenes. I thought about all the times I'd swallowed my words, played the role they'd assigned me. The quiet one, the troubled one, the one who couldn't be trusted with responsibility. Don't worry, Mother, I typed back. I'll behave exactly as you taught me. Then I gathered my evidence, locked the sewing room, and walked out into the night. Tomorrow would come soon enough, and with it, the moment Grandma had prepared me for all along. As I drove home, her voice echoed in my mind from countless Sunday afternoons. Sometimes, Sweet Pea, the strongest thread is the one nobody sees until it's holding everything together. Well, they were about to see every single stitch. I arrived at exactly 9 a.m., dressed in one of Grandma's vintage Chanel suits I'd found in the sewing room. Mother's face tightened when she saw me. She recognized it immediately. "That's not yours," she snapped. "Actually, it is." I smoothed the jacket, along with everything else in the sewing room. "Right, Mr. Benson?" The lawyer nodded, adjusting his glasses. The contents of the sewing room were specifically left to Nora. Kylie swept in, carrying a leather portfolio and wearing an expression of professional concern. "Let's get started. We have a lot to cover regarding the estate distribution." "We certainly do," I agreed, setting my own briefcase on the table. The family gathered around the dining room table. Mother, Aunt Sawyer, Jaden, Kylie, and her fiancé, Eric, who really had no business being there. Mr. Benson sat at the far end, looking uncomfortable. "First order of business," Kylie began. "We need to discuss the sale of the lake house." "Excuse me?" I interrupted. "What sale?" "The lake house needs to be liquidated to cover estate taxes," she explained, as if talking to a child. "As executor, I've already begun entertaining offers." "That's interesting," I said, pulling out my first document. "Because according to this, the lake house was transferred to a separate trust 3 months ago." The room went silent. Kylie's perfectly manicured hand froze mid-gesture. "What are you talking about?" Mother demanded. I slid the paper toward Mr. Benson. "Would you mind confirming this document's authenticity?" He examined it carefully, then cleared his throat. "This appears to be a legal transfer of the lake house property to a trust in Nora's name." "That's impossible," Kylie said sharply. "I have all the estate documents." "Not all of them." I started laying out more papers. "You see, Grandma was quite busy in her final months." "Mr. Benson, would you mind explaining what these are?" The lawyer looked increasingly uncomfortable. "These are additional estate documents, all properly notarized and filed." "This is ridiculous," Mother cut in. "Clearly she's forged these papers." "Like you forged Grandma's signature on those bank withdrawals last year?" I asked innocently. Aunt Sawyer gasped. Kylie's face went white. "I have no idea what you're talking about," Mother said, but her hand trembled as she reached for her water glass. "Really? Because I have copies of those transactions too. 5 withdrawals totaling $100,000, all with suspiciously shaky signatures. Grandma's arthritis was bad then, wasn't it? Or was it bad at all?" Jaden spoke up. "I remember those withdrawals. You said they were for Grandma's new medication." "They were," Mother insisted. "Funny," I said, "because I have her medical records here too. No new medications were prescribed that year." Kylie stood up abruptly. "This meeting is over. You're clearly trying to cause trouble, as usual." "Sit down, Kylie. We haven't even gotten to your part yet." She froze. "What are you talking about?" I pulled out the USB drive. "Should we discuss the emails between you and Mother about having Grandma declared incompetent? Or the loan you took out using her address?" "That's enough." Mother slammed her hand on the table. "I won't sit here and listen to these accusations. Then you should probably leave before I show everyone the offshore account records. The room erupted into chaos. Aunt Sawyer started crying. Eric quietly slipped out the door. Kylie and Mother were both talking at once, their voices getting higher and more desperate. "Mr. Benson," I raised my voice above the noise, "would you please read Grandma's letter? The one explaining why she set up the secret trust?" He nodded, pulling out the final document. The room fell silent as he began to read. "To my family, I've watched you twist yourselves into knots over money and status, forgetting what truly matters. You've manipulated, lied, and schemed, all while claiming it was for the best. But worst of all, you've tried to break the one person who reminds me of myself at her age, my granddaughter Nora." Mother made a choking sound. Kylie sank back into her chair. "Therefore," Mr. Benson continued, "I've made arrangements to ensure the truth comes to light. Nora will receive not only the separate trust, but also full documentation of all financial misconduct over the past 5 years. What she chooses to do with this information is up to her." I looked around the table at their shocked faces. "I choose transparency. Every transaction, every forged document, every manipulative email, all of it goes to the authorities unless we reach an agreement right now." "What kind of agreement?" Kylie asked weakly. "You step down as executor, the lake house stays with me, and you all admit, publicly, what you've done." "You wouldn't dare," Mother whispered. I stood up, gathering my documents. "Try me. You have until tomorrow to decide. After all, I'm just the irresponsible one, right? Who knows what I might do?" As I walked out, I heard Jaden follow me, but I didn't stop. The time for talking was over. Now it was time for justice. "They're here," Jaden texted me the next morning. I took a deep breath and checked my reflection one last time. Grandma's suit still fit perfectly. The lake house's great room was already full when I arrived. Mother sat rigid on the antique sofa, while Kylie paced by the fireplace. Aunt Sawyer had claimed the window seat, dabbing at her eyes with a fresh handkerchief. Mr. Benson stood near his briefcase, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. "Before we start," I said, closing the door behind me, "I want to make something clear. This isn't about revenge. This is about truth." "Truth?" Mother's laugh was brittle. "You're blackmailing us." "No, I'm giving you a choice, the same choice you never gave me." Kylie stopped pacing. "What do you want, Nora? Money? Is that it?" "I have money." I pulled out my phone and showed them the trust account balance. "What I want is for you to stop lying." "We never lied," Mother protested. "We protected this family's interests." "Really?" I opened my laptop. "Should we watch the video of you telling Grandma's doctors she was confused about her finances? Or read the emails where you and Kylie planned to sell her art collection behind her back?" Jaden stepped forward. "I knew something was wrong last year. The way you kept rushing Grandma to sign things." "Stay out of this," Mother snapped. "No," he said firmly. "I'm done staying out of it." Mr. Benson cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should discuss the terms of the agreement?" "It's simple," I said. "Kylie resigns as executor. The lake house and trust remain mine. And you all sign statements admitting what you did." "You'll destroy this family," Aunt Sawyer whispered. "You did that yourselves. I'm just bringing it into the light." Kylie's face crumpled. "Fine, I'll step down. But those statements? People will talk." "They're already talking," I replied. "About the mysterious loans, the missing artwork, the sudden transfers. Wouldn't you rather control the narrative?" Mother stood up suddenly. "You think you're so clever, don't you? Playing the victim just like always." "Actually," I pulled out one final envelope. "Grandma thought I was clever. This is her last letter to me, written the day before she died." The room went silent as I began to read. "My dearest Nora, by now you've discovered everything. The money, the documents, the truth. They'll call you cruel for exposing them. But remember, sometimes kindness means standing firm. They broke your father's spirit with their schemes. I won't let them break yours. Mother went pale. What does she mean about your father? You know exactly what she means, I said quietly. The failed business venture that ruined him? Turns out Kylie's father sabotaged the deal. Grandma found the proof. Kylie sank into a chair. Dad wouldn't. He did. And you all watched my father fall apart, never saying a word. Jaden's voice shook. Is that why he left? Disappeared? Yes. I closed the letter. So now you have a choice. Sign the statements or I release everything, including what happened to Dad. Mother's facade finally cracked. You ungrateful little... Sign, Aunt Sawyer interrupted. Evangeline, just sign. It's over. Mr. Benson produced the documents. One by one, they signed. Kylie first, then Aunt Sawyer, finally Mother, her signature as sharp as broken glass. The press release goes out tomorrow, I said. A simple statement about financial irregularities and a change in executor. Nothing more, unless you make it necessary. And then what? Mother asked bitterly. You take everything and leave? No. I take what's mine and start a foundation in Grandma's name for families destroyed by financial abuse. I gathered my things. You're welcome to donate, anonymously, of course. As they filed out, Jaden stayed behind. I found some of Dad's old letters, he said, in Grandma's desk. Do you want to read them together? I felt tears threatening for the first time. Yeah, I'd like that. The lake house creaked and settled around us, full of memories both dark and light. Through the window, I could see Mother's car pulling away, Kylie's following close behind. What happens now? Jaden asked. I touched the locket around my neck, the one inheritance they thought was worthless. Inside was a tiny key that had unlocked everything. Now we heal, I said, and we remember what Grandma taught us about truth. Which is that it comes out, one way or another. The only choice is whether you face it or run from it. He nodded, understanding at last. They'll never forgive you for this. I know. I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. But Grandma would be proud. Outside, the lake rippled under the autumn sun, its surface breaking and reforming, each wave washing away what came before. Just like truth, I thought. Just like justice. Just like healing. The press release hit like a controlled explosion. Within hours, my phone was buzzing with messages from family, friends, and distant relatives. I ignored them all and focused on cleaning out Grandma's attic at the lake house. Look at this, Jaden said, pulling a dusty photo album from behind a trunk. It's from the summer Dad taught us to swim. I set down the box I was sorting and joined him on the floor. The photos showed a different family, one where Mother still smiled, where Dad's eyes weren't haunted, where Grandma sat in her garden chair watching over us all. Wait, I said, noticing something tucked between the pages. What's this? It was a small leather journal, its pages yellow with age. Grandma's handwriting filled every page. June 15th, I read aloud. Evangeline came today asking for another loan. I refused. She doesn't know I've seen the gambling receipts or that Thomas called me about the missing company funds. Jaden leaned closer. Thomas? Dad's business partner? There's more. I flipped through the pages. September 3rd, Kylie visited with her father. They think I don't know about their plan to force Thomas out of the merger. Poor man has no idea what's coming. A floorboard creaked behind us. We spun around to find Eric, Kylie's fiancé, standing in the doorway. Sorry, he said quickly. The door was open. What are you doing here? I stood up, clutching the journal. Looking for Kylie, actually. She's not answering her phone, and... He paused, noticing the tension. What's that you're reading? Nothing that concerns you, Jaden said. Eric stepped further into the attic. Look, I know things are messy right now, but Kylie's really struggling. The bank is asking questions about those loans. What loans? I asked sharply. He shifted uncomfortably. The ones she took out using this address. There's something wrong with the paperwork. I exchanged looks with Jaden. Show me. Eric pulled out his phone and pulled up some emails. She said her grandmother approved everything, but now the bank's fraud department is involved. The documents showed multiple loans, all using the lake house as collateral. Dates, amounts, signatures, all forged after Grandma's death. She's going to lose everything, Eric said. Her job at the bank, her reputation. Like my father lost everything? I asked coldly. His face changed. What do you mean? I handed him the journal. Read it. Then decide if you still want to marry into this family. While he read, I continued sorting through boxes. In one, I found a stack of letters tied with a faded ribbon. They were from Dad, dated after he left. Dear Mom, I read silently. I can't face them knowing what they did. The setup, the stolen contracts, the lies. Keep watching over my children, especially Nora. She sees through their games, just like you do. Holy shit, Eric's voice broke through my thoughts. I had no idea. Now you do, Jaden said. Question is, what are you going to do about it? Eric closed the journal carefully. I need to think, but Nora, there's something else you should know. Kylie's been meeting with lawyers. They're planning to challenge the trust. Let them try, I said. I have everything documented. Not everything. He pulled out another envelope. I found these in her desk, letters from your grandmother that she never sent you. Kylie intercepted them. My hands shook as I opened the envelope. Years of birthday cards, Christmas letters, notes of encouragement, all hidden away by my perfect cousin. Why are you showing us this? Jaden asked. Because I'm done being part of their lies. Eric headed for the stairs. Do what you need to do with those letters. I'll handle Kylie. After he left, Jaden and I sat in silence, surrounded by the evidence of decades of deception. We need to go through everything, I finally said. Every box, every paper, no more secrets. What about Mother? This will destroy what's left of her reputation. I picked up Dad's letters. She destroyed our family first. Now we rebuild it, honestly this time. My phone buzzed with a text from Mr. Benson. Kylie's lawyers called. They're demanding a meeting. Good, I typed back. Tell them to bring everything. It's time to finish this. Jaden helped me pack up the journals and letters. As we carried them downstairs, I caught a glimpse of movement through the window. Mother, standing at the edge of the property, watching us. I walked onto the porch, holding up Dad's letters so she could see them. She turned and hurried to her car, but not before I saw her face crumple. Ready for round 2? Jaden asked. I looked at the boxes of truth we'd uncovered. They're not going to know what hit them. The lake rippled in the distance, keeping its own secrets, but not for long, not anymore. The meeting was set for noon at Mr. Benson's office. I arrived early, arranging my evidence in neat piles on the conference table. Jaden sat beside me, reviewing Dad's letters one last time. They're here, Mr. Benson announced, opening the door. Kylie swept in first, flanked by 2 sharp-suited lawyers. Mother followed, then Aunt Sawyer. No sign of Eric. Before we begin, Kylie's primary lawyer started, we have serious concerns about the validity of... Save it, I interrupted, sliding the first stack of documents across the table. These are the letters your client intercepted. 5 years of correspondence between me and my grandmother, never delivered. Kylie's face went white. How did you... Eric found them, I said. He's very thorough when packing to move out. Mother's head snapped up. What do you mean? Move out? Oh, you haven't heard, I smiled. He resigned from the bank this morning. Something about not wanting to be involved in fraud. That's enough, Kylie's lawyer cut in. We're here to discuss the trust's validity. Perfect, I pulled out Grandma's journal. Let's discuss validity. Should we start with the forged loan documents or the embezzlement from Dad's company? Those are private family matters, Mother said sharply. Not anymore. Jaden opened his laptop. The SEC is very interested in what happened to Dad's company. I sent them everything this morning. Aunt Sawyer gasped. You didn't? We did, I confirmed. Along with proof of Kylie's recent loan fraud, the investigators should be at the bank right about... I checked my watch. Now. Kylie's phone buzzed. She read the message and crumpled, tears smearing her perfect makeup. You've ruined everything, she whispered. No, you did that yourself. I'm just showing everyone the truth. Her lawyers huddled together, whispering urgently. Mother sat frozen, her face a mask of fury and fear. What do you want? Aunt Sawyer asked quietly. I want you to drop the challenge to the trust, sign over the lake house completely, and... I pulled out one final document. I want you to sign this confession about what you did to Dad. Absolutely not, Mother snapped. Then I'll release everything, every detail, including your gambling debts. The room went silent. Mother's hands trembled. How did you know about those? She whispered. Grandma kept records of everything, including the money she paid to keep you out of trouble. I leaned forward. Sign the confession, Mother. Do one honest thing in your life. Kylie's lawyers stood up. We need to confer with our client. You have 5 minutes, I said. Then I start making phone calls. They filed out, leaving Mother, Aunt Sawyer, and me. Why are you doing this? Mother asked, her voice breaking. Because Dad deserved better, because I deserved better, because Grandma saw through all of you and she made sure I would too. Jaden touched my arm. They're coming back. Kylie entered alone, her lawyers conspicuously absent. I'll sign, she said quietly. Everything. Just, please don't send those loan documents to the police. Too late, I replied, but your cooperation will look good for the investigation. She picked up the pen with shaking hands and signed every page I put in front of her. Mother? I slid the confession her way. Your turn. She stared at the paper for a long moment. You'll never understand what I did to protect this family. You mean protect yourself? I stood up. Sign it, or I call the gambling commission right now. The pen scratched across paper. When she finished, Mother looked decades older. Get out, I said softly. All of you, the lawyers will handle the rest. They left one by one. Aunt Sawyer paused at the door. Your grandmother would be ashamed of what you've done. No, I replied. She'd be proud I finally stood up to what you've all done. When they were gone, Jaden hugged me tight. It's over. Not quite. I gathered the signed documents. Now we have to rebuild. Mr. Benson cleared his throat. There's one more thing. A safety deposit box key was found in your grandmother's desk. Would you like to see what's inside? I thought of all the other secrets we'd uncovered. Yes, I said, no more hiding. As we left his office, my phone buzzed with a news alert. The bank had announced an internal investigation. Kylie's name was prominently featured. Are you okay? Jaden asked. I looked at the stack of papers in my hands. Proof of decades of lies finally exposed to light. I'm better than okay, I said. I'm free. The truth had cost us what was left of our family's facade. But maybe, I thought, that's exactly what Grandma intended all along. Sometimes you have to break something completely to build it back right. The safety deposit box held one last surprise, a video recording. Grandma's face filled the screen, her eyes bright despite her illness. My dearest Nora, she began, if you're watching this, you've already discovered everything else, but there's one final piece to this puzzle. Jaden and I sat in the bank's private viewing room, watching as Grandma revealed her last secret. Your father isn't missing, she said. He's been in Seattle all these years, rebuilding his life. I've kept in touch, helping him heal. He wanted to contact you both, but the shame of what happened, well, some wounds take longer to heal than others. My hand found Jaden's as we listened. I've given his contact information to Mr. Benson. Now that the truth is out, maybe it's time for healing on all sides. She paused, smiling sadly. Don't be too hard on your mother, sweet pea. Her crimes were born of fear, not malice, though that doesn't make them any less wrong. The video ended. Mr. Benson handed me an envelope with an address and phone number. What do you want to do? Jaden asked. Before I could answer, my phone rang. A reporter seeking comment on Kylie's arrest. No comment, I said, hanging up. Let's go find Dad. The drive to Seattle took 6 hours. We barely spoke, both lost in our own thoughts. The address led us to a small bookstore in a quiet neighborhood. Ready? Jaden's voice shook. I pushed open the door. A bell chimed softly. Behind the counter, a man with gray-streaked hair looked up from his book. Welcome to... He stopped mid-sentence, staring at us. Hi, Dad, I whispered. He came around the counter slowly, as if afraid we might disappear. Nora? Jaden? How did you... Grandma, we said together. He laughed, a rusty sound full of tears. Of course. She always said you'd find me when the time was right. We sat in his small office above the shop, sharing 15 years of stories. He showed us photos of his new life, his little bookstore, his volunteer work with financial literacy programs. I wanted to reach out so many times, he said. But after what your mother and the others did... We know everything, I told him. The stolen contracts, the setup, all of it. How? I explained about Grandma's evidence, the trust, the confessions. His face darkened when I mentioned Mother's gambling debts. That explains a lot, he said quietly. She was always desperate for money, even back then. She's facing charges now, Jaden added, along with Kylie. Dad shook his head. I never wanted revenge. I just wanted peace. This isn't revenge, I said. It's justice, and maybe now we can all find peace. My phone buzzed. A text from Eric. Kylie took a plea deal. She's giving evidence against everyone involved. The truth really does come out, Dad murmured, reading over my shoulder. Speaking of truth, I pulled out Grandma's journal. She kept this for you. Every major moment you missed, every achievement, every milestone, she wrote it all down. He took the journal with trembling hands. Mom never gave up on any of us, did she? No, I smiled. She just waited for the right moment. We spent the evening planning. Dad would come back with us, help set up the foundation in Grandma's name. The bookstore could open a second location near the lake house. What about Mother? Jaden asked. I'll visit her, Dad said. After all these years, we both need closure. As we were leaving, Dad handed me a key. Mum gave me this years ago, said to give it to you when you found me. It's to her garden shed at the lake house. More secrets? I asked. He smiled. The same smile I remembered from childhood. No more secrets, just seeds she saved for you. She always said you had her green thumb. Back at our hotel, Jaden and I sat on the balcony, watching the Seattle skyline sparkle. Think we did the right thing? He asked. Exposing everything? I thought about Grandma's careful planning, Dad's quiet redemption, the truth finally breaking free. Yes, I said. Some things need sunlight to grow. My phone lit up with another news alert. Mother had released a statement admitting everything, apologizing publicly for the first time in her life. Look, I showed Jaden the screen. He read it slowly. Think she means it? Maybe, maybe not, but at least it's honest. Tomorrow we'd drive back, Dad following in his car. We'd face the media storm, the family fallout, the long process of rebuilding. But tonight, sitting here with my brother, knowing our father was alive and well just across the city, I felt Grandma's presence like a warm breeze. "Well played, sweet pea," I could almost hear her say. Well played indeed. The truth had cost us our illusions, but it had given us back our family, the real one, not the perfect facade we'd hidden behind for so long. Sometimes that's all justice really is, the courage to be real, no matter the cost. The key to Grandma's garden shed felt heavy in my hand as I approached the small wooden structure behind the lake house. Dad and Jaden were inside, setting up for the foundation's first board meeting, but I needed this moment alone. The lock clicked open. Sunlight streamed through dusty windows, illuminating rows of carefully labeled seed packets and garden tools. A weathered wooden bench sat in the corner, and on it, one final envelope with my name. My hands shook as I opened it. Dearest Nora, if you're reading this, you've done exactly what I knew you would. You found your strength, your truth, and hopefully, your father. But now comes the hardest part, deciding what to grow from all this upheaval. The seeds in this shed aren't just for flowers, they're for new beginnings. Choose wisely. All my love, Grandma. A knock at the door made me look up. Mother stood there looking smaller than I'd ever seen her. The prosecutor offered a deal, she said quietly. Community service and restitution in exchange for testimony about the bank fraud. I gestured to the bench. She sat, her designer outfit out of place among the garden tools. Did you take it? I asked. Yes. She touched a packet of forget-me-not seeds. Your grandmother tried to warn me, about where all this would lead. But you didn't listen. I was too afraid of losing everything. She met my eyes. Instead, I lost what mattered most. The door creaked open again. Dad stood there, his bookstore apron still on. The board members are arriving, he said, then noticed Mother. Evangeline. Thomas. She stood up. You look well. Being honest with yourself does that. He stepped into the shed. I signed the divorce papers, Mother nodded. I'll have my lawyer review them. She turned to leave, then paused. The roses need pruning. Mom always did it in spring. I know when to prune roses, I said. Of course you do. She taught you everything important, didn't she? After she left, Dad picked up Grandma's old gardening shears. Ready to start planting? Almost. I showed him the letter. She left instructions. He smiled. She always did. Inside the house, voices carried from the study. Jaden was greeting board members for our first official meeting of the Callie Weber Foundation for Financial Justice. Eric had come, bringing documents from the bank's internal investigation. Even Aunt Sawyer was there, finally ready to tell the truth about her role in everything. We should head in, Dad said. Wait. I grabbed a handful of seed packets. We'll need these. For the Foundation's first project. We're turning the back acre into a community garden, a place for people to grow their own food while they rebuild their lives after financial fraud. Dad's eyes crinkled. Mom would love that. In the study, Jaden was explaining our mission. We'll provide legal support, financial counseling, and a safe space for recovery. I set the seeds on the table. And a place to put down new roots. The board members, all survivors of financial fraud themselves, nodded in understanding. Before we begin, I said, I want to share something my grandmother wrote about how truth is like a garden. It needs tending, patience, and sometimes heavy pruning. But with care and courage, it always blooms. Through the window, I could see Mother walking to her car. She stopped to touch one of Grandma's rose bushes, then continued on. Some plants couldn't be saved, but new ones would grow. Let's get started, I told the board. We have a lot of growing to do. Later, as the sun set over the lake, I sat in Grandma's garden with Dad and Jaden. The shed door stood open, ready for tomorrow's planting. Think we'll ever feel normal again? Jaden asked. Normal was overrated, Dad replied. I prefer real. I pulled out Grandma's last letter. reading it one more time. The paper smelled like her garden, earth and hope and possibility. To new beginnings, I said, raising my lemonade glass. To Mom, Dad added. To truth, Jaden finished. The garden stirred in the evening breeze, and somewhere I could swear I heard Grandma laugh, pleased with her final harvest of truth, justice, and love. Not revenge, not destruction, just growth. I tucked the letter away and picked up my garden trowel. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, its own seeds to plant. But tonight, sitting here with my real family, watching the sun paint the lake gold, I knew Grandma had given us everything we needed to bloom. Sometimes the best revenge is simply growing beyond what tried to bury you, and we were finally, truly growing.